So it's been a crazy couple days in the world of MMA, and everything just got a whole lot crazier this morning on Twitter. I'm not usually the one to do news videos and more about predictions and such, but I had to make one covering this because I really believe Islam Makhachev is going to be stripped from the lightweight title. So unless you've been living under a rock, you've seen Islam be accused by Dan Hooker's team and Alex's team of using an IV to cheat after the weigh-in. You know, to replenish and get all of his fluids back in him and get all the weight back on him if he's feeling bad. There was rumors he wasn't even going to make the full weight cut happen. Alex said in an interview that he was told, he might actually not even make the weight. So clearly Islam was in a spot where an IV would have been very beneficial and very needed for somebody who's going to go and fight somebody who's doing way less of a weight cut and is known to have very good pace and very good cardio. There's also photos online seen of Islam with an IV mark in his arm, so you can clearly see something fishy did go on here. But where it got really bad for him is by his manager Ali. You even had Brett Okamoto getting into it on Twitter, just explaining, hey, you can actually use an IV, but it can only be up to 100 milliliters and it has to be by a prescribed doctor and the doctor has to be the one saying you need it. So that's a little confusing, right? Because I feel like any fighter after a weight cut is going to be able to be prescribed by a doctor to need, an IV to replenish. I think that's fairly obvious. But at the time of seeing this, it did kind of put a pin in it and say, okay, maybe Islam is fine under USADA. Maybe he won't be in trouble or penalized because of this, because technically he is allowed according to Captain Brett. I mean, you even had Islam tweeting you must be held accountable for such accusations, being just an absolute cocky prick on Twitter, which I might sound like I don't like Islam. I do. But the situation is just slandering his name in the eyes of the fans, and I just really wish he would have handled this differently. I think his manager, Ali, is just not a great PR guy, and they probably should get somebody else to do that role. But just as Islam thought, you know what? I might be okay here, and you know what? I thought he might be okay here. Captain Ali Abdelaziz came out, found Islam about to walk across a busy street, and just fucking Spartan kicked him across the busy street and let a bus run over him. Because that's literally what he did by making this tweet. I'm about to read it, but before you think, oh, that tweet's fake or something like this, you'll see Ariel has actually confirmed it, and I've looked further into it. There's several different screenshots confirming it in live time of him tweeting it and deleting it. But you can see he says, for all those idiots out there, any fighter under the UFC banner can take 2 to 3 liters of IV as long as it's done by a nurse or a professional. Next week, I'm going to expose everybody. Islam Makhachev is the pound for pound king. So Ali was just sitting there like, oh yeah, I'm so fucking sick. But then immediately he deletes the tweet because, well, that's actually not the case, as pointed out by Brett previously mentioned in this video and Ariel here. Ariel says, yes, he deleted the tweet. It's because someone, I would think, told him that he's incriminating himself with this tweet. You can't take 2 to 3 liters by a professional or not. It's 100 milliliters per 12 hours, among other details. Massive difference. So I want to make sure everybody watching this and who's seen this just understands the level of fuck up that Ali just did. He literally admitted to Islam cheating, pretty much giving the exact amount he likely cheated by, 2 to 3 liters. Trying to justify it and saying it's okay, and then immediately gets caught, called out, and has just made this whole situation so much worse for Islam. So that's why I said at the beginning of this video, I do not see this going away anytime soon for Islam. USADA's already said they're investigating it now. And I mean, if you cheat on your title fight and you're caught cheating, don't you lose the title? You get stripped from the title, right? Like, look what happened to John Jones after he got caught cheating against DC. So I really do think there's a strong chance we see Islam Makhachev be stripped over the next couple weeks. I'm very interested to see what happens. Because, I mean, I don't think Dana is the biggest fan of him either. And I think his stock went down a considerable amount in that fight as well. So I don't see the UFC really fighting for him too much in this spot. And I see just him in a really bad spot, really. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with this. I wanted to make this video and just break it down just to say, like, he's pretty much fucked here. So we'll see what happens. Thanks for watching. And if you want to see my fight night predictions for the card this weekend, it'll be right here. I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.